Hello, good morning students. Welcome to e-learning. We are learning chapter 6 markets and we are going to start with our lecture 3 which is based on competition. So market based on competition we are going to start, but earlier in lecture number 2 we have completed market based on quantity, market based on location, where we have seen in location there are 4 types of locations, that is local market, regional market, national market and international market. Whereas in quantity if you talk, so market based on quantity talks about there are 2 types of quantity market, we can say wholesale market and the retail market. And then after we are going to learn today in this chapter about the market based on competition. So let's start with market based on competition. So whenever the word competition comes, so it means there are numerous number or there are plenty number of buyers and sellers. अगर एक की जगह पे बहुत सारे लोग सेल कर रहे हैं, सेलर्स है, बायर्स है, तो यहाँ पे हम ऐसा सोच सकते हैं कि वहाँ पे कंपटीशन है. There is a competition between the different sellers who are selling the identical products or different types of products. So here whenever there are more number of sellers there is always a competition, and when this competition will help us to know that regarding different types of market. So based on the competition there are different markets which are being established. So let's start and let's know about this. So it is what it has been told here कि basically number of sellers and buyers are been there which are most important, and mostly the sellers are important in this market. Based on the different types of seller, their different speciality, we find that competitions are being based on. Now here majorly there are 2 classes of competition which has been divided, that is perfect competition and imperfect competition. So first is perfect competition market, it is also known as virtual market, and that we are going to learn in detail again forward in this lecture. But second type is imperfect competition, where imperfect competition talks about it is basically not perfect, means it is not exactly what should be the market should be, but there should be a different categories. There are different categories like monopoly, monopolistic, and we can say oligopoly. Apart from that, it is not there in your syllabus, but it is duopoly, there is monopsony. So these are different kinds of market which are been there in available, but here we are going to learn 3 types of imperfect market, that is monopoly, monopolistic market and oligopoly market. But today we'll talk about very first one, that is perfect competition. So let's start with perfect competition market. Here when this perfect competition market is called, perfect means what? Anybody is perfect here? No. So we can assume that any competition will be perfect? No. So here we can say that it is an ideal market, it is just a theoretical market, it is just a virtual market, it does not exist in real world except in one sector, that is what? That is agriculture sector. Why agriculture sector? एक एग्जाम्पल देके आपको समझाता हूँ. यहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में कौन काम करता है? देर आर फार्मर्स हु आर वर्किंग इन एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर. सो बेसिकली व्हाट डज द फार्मर डू? ही produces the crop or he grows the crop. So crops are being grown by the farmers in big vast land, it is in acres or hectares. So you find that they try to grow only 2 or 3 crops, no, only one type of crops, identical crops वो लोग grow करते हैं. So in that particular thing you find that farmer grows, for example they are growing sugarcane. So sugarcane is been grown in a wide range of field and it has been produced and it has been harvested. After that he try to sell. So he is only one farmer who is only selling sugarcane or is growing sugarcane and selling it to the market. No, like him there are many other sellers, many other farmers who are growing sugarcane and selling into the market. So we find that agriculture sector, one particular crop is being grown by one farmer and he has been selling that particular crop. So it becomes so many sellers are selling same type of identical crops, or we can say identical product. Clear? So that's why you find that in that particular case perfect competition कब क्यों आएगा, मैं मीनिंग के बाद, डेफिनेशन के बाद आपको समझाता हूँ. So what does the definition says? According to Mrs. Robinson, perfect competition exists where the demand of the product of the producer totally depends on its price. तो हमारा प्रोडक्ट, हमारा जो भी प्रोडक्ट है, फार्मर का जो भी क्रॉप है, वो किसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है? इट इज़ डिपेंड ऑन इट्स प्राइस. सो वॉट एवर द प्राइस विच इज़ बिन डिटरमाइंड, एंड वी हैव स्टडीड इन द fourth chapter, price determination, where you find that demand and supply intersect. The equilibrium point, the intersecting point between the demand curve and supply curve is the price of that particular product. So here also same way the price has been determined, and on the basis of that the demand is been calculated. On that particular price the demand is been calculated, and we see this particular demand in perfect competition market. Now to more precisely, if you want to understand, there is another definition, another professor who has given, that is Professor Leftwich. He has given again a new definition, and it is a broader sense. It gives a broader idea about the perfect competition, where he says that perfect competition market is a market system where there are many firms that sell identical products. So you get the point कि मैंने फार्मर की बात की, और वो क्रॉप कौन सा ग्रो कर रहे हैं, शुगर केन, तो वो अकेला एक फार्मर है, बहुत सारे फार्मर अलग अलग प्लेस पे शुगर केन ग्रो कर रहे होंगे. सो दे ट्राई टू सेल व्हाट, the identical products. They try to grow the identical products, they try to sell the particular identical products with no firm large enough that can influence the market price. ऐसा कोई एक ऐसा प्रोड्यूसर नहीं है कि मैं बहुत सारा प्रोड्यूस करके अकेला मेरे हिसाब से प्राइस रखूंगा. So the Professor Leftwich is here, he is telling that perfect competition is an ideal market where that market system is selling the same kind of product or the identical. Sugarcane is been there, so sugarcane is been sold. So all the other farmers, all the sellers who are selling sugarcane comes under this perfect competition market, and they only sells sugarcane. उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं सेल करेंगे, ठीक है. That's why it is been only applicable in agriculture sector. एंड देर आर नो, ऐसे कोई एक सेलर नहीं है, कोई भी एक ऐसा सेलर नहीं है जो मार्केट को इन्फ्लुएंस करेगा अपने प्राइस से, राइट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ एनी वन ऑफ द सेलर और वन ऑफ द फार्मर इज देयर हु इज हैविंग hectares and hectares of land, and he tells, I am having so much of production, I want to sell this at my price into the market. So ऐसे वो कोई सेलर इन्फ्लुएंस, कोई फार्मर और सेलर इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर पाएगा परफेक्ट कंपटीशन में. वाई इट इज सो, ये कैसे हो पाएगा, ये हम समझेंगे आगे इसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स में. सो व्हाट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, इट इज एन, वी कैन से आइडियल मार्केट, वर्चुअल मार्केट. इट डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट practically except in agriculture sector, where the farmers or the sellers are only selling one type of product, or that is identical product, no other product they are selling. And that is also depends on what, it is depends on the price which has been determined basis on demand and supply, and then after the demand is been calculated on that particular price. चलो आगे पढ़ते हैं हम कैरेक्टरिस्टिक और, ओके. सो देयर आर 3 to 6 different types of perfect competition characteristics. So here the first one talks about the numerous buyer and seller. पहले तो यहाँ पे ये प्रोडक्ट सेल करने वाले, ये प्रोडक्ट बना मीन्स दिस शुगर केन फॉर एग्जांपल. सो यहाँ पे फार्मर्स बहुत सारे हैं जो प्रोड्यूस करेंगे और सेल करेंगे मार्केट के अंदर. सो देर आर न्यूमरस सेलर्स एज वेल एज वो परचेज करने के लिए देर आर न्यूमरस बायर, बिकॉज वो पॉपुलेशन, हमारा पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रहा है, necessary needs है, everything. So not only sugarcane, we can take here examples of commonly thing, that is wheat. For every day we require chapatis, rice, every day we are eating rice. So ये examples ले सकते हैं. Those farmers who are growing rice or wheat, only one type of, that is either you can take a farmer growing rice or a farmer which is growing wheat. तो वो लोग क्या करेंगे, एक ही टाइप का प्रोडक्ट सेल करेंगे. तो वो सब वैसे वाले सेलर्स बहुत सारे होंगे. So market has large number of buyers and sellers, and you find that any one single seller or one single producer cannot influence the market price. One producer ऐसा नहीं बोलेगा I am the main one, I am the boss, will keep at my possibilities, I will keep my market price. No one can do that in perfect competition. Why? It is an ideal मतलब एक परफेक्ट मार्केट है. परफेक्ट मतलब क्या, सब कुछ बैलेंस है. यहाँ पे कोई अपना रूल आगे पीछे कम नहीं करेगा. यहाँ पे डिमांड एंड सप्लाई मैच हो जाता है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड परफेक्ट मार्केट. क्लियर. सो ड्यू टू ही कैन नॉट कंट्रोल और ही कैन नॉट मोनोपोलाइज, मतलब वो अपने कंट्रोल में कोई भी मार्केट नहीं ले सकता. किस में, परफेक्ट कॉम्पिटिशन में. सो दैट्स वाई वी कैन से नॉट इन होलसेल, नॉट इन रिटेल, ही कैन नॉट इन्फ्लुएंस द प्राइस. विच प्राइस, मार्केट प्राइस. मार्केट प्राइस किसके ऊपर से नक्की होता है, it has been determined on the basis of, we can say, demand and supply of that particular product. So here we can say, if there is a wheat farm. So suppose one seller is not able to produce that particular we can say wheat for his part of land. So what is happening, does he tells कि मैं ग्रो नहीं कर पाया तो आप इस साल wheat मत बेचो, इस साल wheat का प्राइस कम कर दो? No. So you find that a single seller cannot influence due to his X or Y Z situation, or he cannot say that I have so much of wheat production, I want to sell this bulk of wheat at my price because I am having the bulk or larger quantity than other farmers. So here the farmer cannot able to influence as per his demand, as per his price. So he cannot determine the price of his own. जो डिमांड है उसके हिसाब से ही होगा. So we can say that a very small, as one seller is a very small part of this, because if you try to just imagine in a particular state, मैं तो city की बात नहीं कर रहा, state, how many farmers will be there who are producing wheat? So out of them, suppose from one city, one village, from one city, for example Nausar is a city, from that you find that one place, for example you find that Maroli. From Maroli, one part of a piece of land, one farmer is not able to produce. So will it be affecting any production or any part of the total Gujarat production? No. So one single seller is not able to produce or is able to produce more, cannot influence the market, nor he can change the price according to his or her wish. सो कहने का मतलब ऐसे बहुत सारे सेलर है तो सबको इक्वल मिलेगा और वो प्राइस जो है उसके हिसाब से सेल होगा. एंड द बायर विल ऑल्सो नो दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर सेलर कैन नॉट सेल एट दिस मेजर प्राइस. अगर कोई सेलर अपने ये रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन से हट के अपने बड़े प्राइस से बेच रहा है तो क्या होगा? तो buyer also is aware and he knows that what is the price for this particular thing in the market, this particular crop in the market, and he will go to find another seller who is selling at the same price which has been determined. So a single seller cannot influence, or single producer cannot influence the market, because there are other sellers who are selling at the same price. That's why it is called as perfect competition. एक simple example देता हूँ simply कि यहाँ पे 10 जन है. There are 10 farmers who are selling wheat. All of them are having wheat and they are selling. Now one of the first person who is sitting very first, he sells that I am sitting first, I want to earn more, the people first comes towards me. If I will put my prices high, if suppose 20 kg per wheat is there, I will keep 30 kg per wheat. So whenever the customer come and ask me, I am selling at 30 rupees and he knows that I am the very first, so he will take from me. Like this, different types of any of the mentality, you find that seller want to sell more with his or her situation. वैसा नहीं हो पाएगा. No one will buyer will not purchase from him, because he also knows, buyer and seller both knows what is the market price, and one single seller rising his price cannot sell into the market, because there are other 9 who are sitting along with him who are selling into the market. अगर उसके साथ नहीं बैठे तो दूसरे कोई मार्केट में बैठे होंगे. तो अल्टीमेटली आई एम टेलिंग हियर, द वन सिंगल सेलर कैन नॉट इन्फ्लुएंस द प्राइस हियर. सो देयर आर न्यूमरस बायर एंड न्यूमरस सेलर, और इसके वजह से ये नहीं हो पाएगा. सेकेंड टॉपिक, व्हाट दे आर सेलिंग, वाई इट इज़ बिन, बिकॉज एक सेलर एक ही चीज़ सेल कर रहा है और वैसे ऐसे बहुत सारे सेलर हैं जो सेम टाइप ऑफ आइडेंटिकल प्रोडक्ट सेल कर रहे हैं. आइदर देयर इज हैविंग सम और द अदर, लाइक शेप एंड साइज थोड़ा चेंज हो जाएगा, थोड़ा कलर या साइज चेंज हो जाएगा, टेस्ट एंड वेट में थोड़ा फर्क होगा, लेकिन इट इज़ अल्टीमेटली वीट. It is only the wheat which they are selling. All the 10 of them are selling wheat, and we find that because of that, अगर one seller is selling at more price, the buyer will go to the other seller who is selling at market price. So because they are all selling identical products, कोई अलग अलग product sell नहीं कर, there is no substitution for their main product. So here in this market we find that the products are identical. What is the major point here? All the products, all the seller are selling same kind of product. That is, for example, I took wheat. Producers or seller cannot set different prices on the identical products. कोई भी person ऐसा, कोई भी seller ऐसा नहीं कर सकता कि भाई ये सब लोग सही, all of them are selling the same price, same product, तो मैं अलग प्राइस से सेट करता हूँ. नो, he cannot influence. then the buyer is also not ready to pay. Why? Because he also is knowledgeable, he also know that this particular product pricing is 20 rupees, why this particular seller is selling at 30 rupees. No matter xyz reason he tells, but there are other 9 I want to approach and I want to go to ask them what price they are selling, and after that he get to know that others are selling at 20 rupees only. He will not purchase from the seller who is sitting first, who is selling at 30 rupees. Are you getting that point? So this is what you find, that identical products, where identical products are there in perfect competition, a seller cannot influence the market. वो अपने हिसाब से मार्केट रन नहीं कर सकता, अपने हिसाब से प्राइस चेंज नहीं कर सकता. Then the third one, free entry and exit of the firm. So there are 10 sellers as I told. So if this particular first seller wants to sell at high prices, not able to sell, and उसका वो बिक्री नहीं हो रहा, तो if you want to leave the firm, leave this particular marketplace, he can leave. Same way, if any other person want to sell the same product with the same price into this market, he can come and start his selling. He can start his selling this particular wheat with that market price. अलग price पे नहीं, market price पे. So there is no restrictions over the entry and exit of the firm. So you find here, a new person want to gain some profit, he can start the same business or same product to sell into the market and get good amount of profit. Same way, if a person is suffering loss, he can come out from that market and he can overcome this particular loss. So it depends upon the abnormal profit and abnormal gain. Why abnormal profit and abnormal gain? Because many times producers, the cost of production is less, but the market price might give him abnormal profit or might give him abnormal loss. So when the market is giving abnormal profit, new sellers also will come and join to get this particular abnormal profit, and when this new sellers comes and join, that time you find that it calls as free entry into the market. Same way, when this type of situation, market price is less than the cost of production, the firm suffers loss, the seller suffers loss. So that time they are free to come out from that particular market. So free entry exit of the market. So if there is abnormal gain, people will join to sell the same kind of product. If there is abnormal loss, people will come out from that particular business and start any other business, or they will sit, so that they are not able to get into losses. So it is this particular abnormal loss and abnormal gain is for not for the longer period of time, only for shorter period of time. एक simple example देता हूँ. अगर for example your onion prices are becoming more and more, so at presently those sellers who are selling onions are getting a good amount of profit because the market price has reached high. But if another investor thinks that if I want to get more profit, I should go under this particular onion selling business. So बहुत सारे अलग जो बेच रहे थे अलग क्रॉप्स, तो वो लोग ऑनियन के अंदर आएंगे, सेल करेंगे. तो उस टाइम पे क्या होगा, every seller will come and start selling, other sellers also start coming and selling this particular onion. What will happen? This abnormal gain will slowly get reduces and market price भी धीरे धीरे कम हो जाएगी, because बहुत सारे sellers उसके अंदर आ गए. So this is for a very short period of time. So this is how you find that opposite, vice versa will happen when there is losses. So many of the seller will go out, so only few will be there and few will be able to sell into the market, and losses will be less. So abnormal loss will come slowly to the normal profit and loss stage. So this is how you find that there is a free entry and exit of the firm. तो जब अच्छा प्रॉफिट हो रहा है तो बहुत सारे लोग आके वही प्रोडक्ट सेल करेंगे, जब कम प्रॉफिट हो रहा है तो बहुत सारे लोग वहाँ से निकल के दूसरा चालू कर देंगे. जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे ये सिचुएशन के टाइम पे एवरीवन स्टार्टेड सेलिंग मास्क ऑनलाइन, sanitizer online, because they can have that, they know that this particular product is now very much important. And due to that, nowadays you find that every now and there, here or there, आपके कोई रिश्तेदार में कोई ना कोई सैनिटाइजर बेच रहा होगा, नहीं तो मास्क बेच रहा होगा. तो इसकी वजह से अभी प्रॉफिट वहाँ पे कम हो गया, बिकॉज देर आर मैनी सेलर्स एंड बायर्स आर लेस, and there are many sellers who want to sell with a very low price. So this again becomes a problem, and this is why you find that यहाँ पे abnormal profit and loss का situation, it is there only for very short period of time, that is initial situation. So this is why you find that how they try to go with making the abnormal profit to the normal profit, abnormal loss to the normal loss. So this is what is written here in this particular points. Now let's go to the fourth point, that is perfect knowledge of the market. Now the buyer as well as seller, here not only the seller but also the buyer should know what is the situation condition going on into the market. Now when he knows the condition which is going into the market, what will happen? He can have exact knowledge that what price the product is being sold, and he can explain to the buyer that so and so reason create a high price into the market, or so and so reason created low price into the market, because the buyer also doubts why he is selling at a higher price and why he is selling at a cheaper price. Many times you find that some of the product which is very high quality, high thing, it is getting at lower price, so you doubt, yes, you doubt that is it he is cheating with a duplicate one or not. Same way, if product which is reasonable but it is at high price, so you also doubt that he is going to charge me a good more money and he want to earn more profit. So this is what you find that becomes a doubtful thing. So here not only the seller but also the buyer as well as the producer should have the perfect knowledge into the market. So here we find that they should know what is the availability, what they have to keep in the mind. This product is available everywhere in the market or it is specially coming from some far places. Then they should know what is the price at which is available into the other markets, so that it is identical, its identical product is available or it is substitute product is available or not, तो वो पता होना चाहिए. तो ये अगर हमको अवेयर होगा, किसको? बायर को, then seller cannot cheat. Same way seller is aware, buyer cannot ask for lower prices that ये तो यहाँ पे भी available मेरे को सस्ते में दे दो. So this type of thing comes into the part of the knowledge, और ये हम सब कर चुके हैं हमारे डे टू डे एक्टिविटी में. सो व्हेन यू नो कि पोटैटो चिप्स आपको 10 रुपीज़ के बालाजी वेफर्स मिलते हैं, बट इफ समवन चार्ज 12 रुपीज़, will you able to pay that 12 rupees for that same potato chips who are getting next door at 10 rupees? No. So if suppose it is a place that is a resort, you have to, if it is a resort you have to pay 20 rupees also, because it is a resort that other place आप resort के बाहर जाके purchase नहीं कर सकते. So if you went to any water park or any resort, you find that this particular packaging things, packaging materials, FMGB like biscuits से लेके सब कुछ, cold drinks, it is charged at high price, and there you cannot bargain, and there you have a perfect knowledge that I cannot go far enough and purchase outside and bring it, because they does not allow in also, and it is difficult to go out and have that particular thing when you are into a resort. So keeping in the situation, both the buyer and seller try to go with this particular market situation, उसके हिसाब से वो लोग sell करते हैं, and there is no cheating which has been done by the seller or the buyer if both of them are aware of all this particular thing. अगर किसी एक को भी problem, एक को भी awareness नहीं है, तो वो cheat हो जाएगा. So you find that the seller cannot cheat the buyer by charging the different prices in a normal situation. Clear? Then comes the mobility. What is mobility? Mobility means movement of factor of production. So what are the four factor of production? There are land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, and you find that they are physical. Mobiles means physical है, professional है. Point of view से देखो तो यहाँ पे परफेक्ट कॉम्पिटिशन में ये जो लैंड, लेबर, कैपिटल, एंटरप्रेन्योर है कभी चेंज नहीं होता, मतलब इन्फ्लेशन का रेट ही नहीं लगता. If it is changing, it is changing everywhere. So you find that, but normally it is same, it is not changing. So if the rent is not increasing, the labor wages, that is the money which is given to the laborers, is not increasing, then you find that interest rate is not increasing on the capital and profit margin is not increasing. So that's why you find that the price of the product is same. The price of the product is similar, it is not changing in under the perfect competition market. That's why you find that it is called as virtual market. इसकी वजह से उसको virtual market बोलते हैं कि वो theoretically present नहीं है. हमारे commonly कोई शॉप में जाके देखो तो ये perfect competition नहीं दिखेगा, but it is only possible in agriculture sector. So you find that this particular topic talks about that due to less mobility factors, or we can say there is no change in this other factor of production. हमारा cost के अंदर कोई चेंज नहीं हो रहा, हमारा प्रॉफिट मार्जिन के अंदर कोई चेंज नहीं हो रहा, हमारा प्राइस के अंदर कोई चेंज नहीं हो रहा, तो यू फाइंड दैट दिस एवरीथिंग रिमेन्स द सेम, सो दैट सेलर कैन नॉट charge high price. If he is charging, he will be in losses, not other sellers who are selling at the market price, जो rules follow कर रहे market का. So this is what the fifth point talks about the mobility of factor of production. And lastly, the sixth one, that is no transportation expenses. Transportation के expenses नहीं हो रहे यहाँ पे. So why there is no transportation expense? ऐसा हो रहा है कि सब कुछ फ्री में मिले? No, there is a transportation expenses, but why there is no transportation expenses? ये point के अंदर क्यों बोल रहे हैं? Because here the seller is having large quantity of wheat. Example याद करो wheat का, where if he is having tons, he has produced tons of wheat. When he transport this tons of wheat, एक ट्रक या दो ट्रक के अंदर आ जाएगा आराम से. So this particular tons of wheat has been transported by one single truck, where per kg this transportation expenses is very low. It becomes negligible. हमको ये बहुत कम लगेगा. इसके वजह से यहाँ पे बोला गया है there is no transportation expenses. So because of so many buyers, because of so many sellers into the market, when these goods are transported from this harvesting place to the marketplace, this particular total expense becomes very negligible when it's been counted as per the kgs, and because of that this becomes very negligible. बहुत nominal price हो जाता है. इसके वजह से हम इसको consider नहीं करते ज़्यादा कि for example per kg, if 1 ton means 1000 kg. So transportation of 1 ton in a truck is been transported from one place to another place. It's costing for example 1000 kg का wheat हमने एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे मार्केट तक लाए और उसका कॉस्ट हुआ 1000. तो पर kg कितना कॉस्ट हुआ? 1 रुपी हुआ. तो इट इज़ नेग्लिजिबल ना. So you find that this transportation cost becomes very negligible when it been counted into their measurement terms, physical measurement terms. That's why we can say here there is no transportation expenses. So now the summary part. What does this perfect competition want to talk about? जो हमारा डेफिनेशन बोल रहा है लेफ्ट विच की तरफ से कि इट इज़ अ मार्केट वेयर द सेलर्स आर सेलिंग व्हाट, आइडेंटिकल प्रोडक्ट्स. एक ही टाइप का प्रोडक्ट सेल कर रहे हो और कोई भी सेलर ऐसा नहीं कर सकता कि वो उसको प्राइस बढ़ा के सेल करे. दे आर नॉट एबल टू सेल दैट पर्टिकुलर सेम आइडेंटिकल प्रोडक्ट एट अ high price rather than the market price which has been decided. It is already decided, where other sellers out of 10, 9 are selling at the market price and one seller want to have more profit and he is selling at this particular, we can say, high price. So he cannot influence the market because why? Both the buyer and seller has a perfect knowledge about the product. Both the buyer and seller knows that all are selling identical products. There are numerous buyers and sellers. भाई अगर एक seller sell कर रहा है तो उसके पास ही लेना compulsory नहीं. It is not mandatory to purchase from the very first person which you met. So there are other 9 persons or other different sellers which are selling the same identical products. So because of that also we find that buyer will move to the different sellers. Then you find that they cannot charge high transportation charge, because when they are charging high transportation charge, you find that here that it becomes very negligible, because tons of goods is been transported by one truck from one place to another, where the cost becomes very negligible when we measure into kgs per kg. So that's why we find that they cannot ask that transportation became more, this and that became more, and because of that they are charging high prices. So because of this situation we are charging high prices. तो ये ऐसे अलग से बहाने निकाल के seller influence नहीं कर सकता. So for that both the buyer and seller should be aware of this particular condition. So ultimately we find that this type of market is not possible in other markets जो हम local में देख रहे हो. It is only possible in agriculture sector and mostly it is in theoretical, not in real. Then after we find it is an idle मतलब ऐसा market होना चाहिए, but it is there. You find in your surrounding any shopkeeper is selling only one type of product? No, they are selling multiple different various type of product, more than 100 different types of thing he has been selling. If you try to go only one departmental store तो 200 से ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट निकलेंगे, जस्ट एक बार काउंट कर लेना. सो व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग अप? सो वो वाले को कौन से मार्केट में गिनेंगे हम, वो आगे डिफरेंट मार्केट्स में देखेंगे. बट टिल नाउ फॉर टुडेज लेक्चर यू शुड बी able to know about the perfect competition market. If you have any doubt, you can just call or message me on my number. So we have completed perfect competition. Next class we are going to learn about monopoly market. Thank you.